Hello and welcome to the Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast. I'm your host, Janine, manifesting maven, lunar ritualist, nature lover, sex magic expert, and empowering confidence and sexuality coach. If you like, you can think of me as your witchy bestie who calls you out on your self-deprecating cycles while encouraging you to align with your highest self. And I'm on a mission to help women return to the wisdom of their bodies and to embrace their inner power. If you're a woo-woo woman craving more self-love, confidence, fulfillment, and passion in life, you're in the right place. The Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast is here to help women like you to thrive as your most radiant and happy self. Here you can find inspiration and tools taken from my one-on-one coaching sessions and group experiences to support you in your journey. We'll cover things like societal conditioning, inner child healing, pleasure practices, manifestation techniques, approachable rituals, and all around women's empowerment. My goal is to shift your perspective and give you actionable takeaways so you can walk away from these episodes feeling inspired to create a life that ignites your soul. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful we're able to connect in this way, and I can't wait to dig into the contents of this episode with you. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hello, today we are digging into the differences between masturbation, slow pleasure, and sacred sexuality. It's a topic I reference quite often, I feel like, so I thought now would be a good opportunity to create a full episode around it, really dive into the nitty-gritty, fully explaining each of those pieces: masturbation, slow pleasure, and sacred sexuality, giving you a clear idea, opening up your perspective. And then at the end, I am also going to share some different tips to help walk you through. Perhaps you are interested in shifting throughout that spectrum, wanting to play around with some different things. So I will give you some tips in here as well. And I will start out just by saying there is no right or wrong for any of this. Like I said, there is a full range. It's like this very big spectrum, and there's a time and a place for all of it. And just because you may happen to focus within one particular area, that is totally okay. The main purpose of this conversation is to just really open up your perception to what is possible, the different things that are available to you. And perhaps you may want to play around along that spectrum. And as we really do this work, do this practice, we are able to begin to really tap into our bodies and know what is the most nourishing for ourselves at any given time. And we can really make decisions within that spectrum of what really suits us in that moment of time. And this episode also comes in anticipation of my Guided by Glow collaboration. I'm so excited to have connected up with the founder, Sarah Player, and we have a few fun things that are in store for you. I have an interview coming up with her coming out on Thursday as a bonus episode. We have a really great conversation just about slow pleasure, masturbation, being able to really tune in, let go, the magic of being guided in different ways. And we just dig into so much stuff that is really sexual empowerment, female empowerment. So stay tuned. That is coming out on Thursday. I will also be, I forget the proper title for it, but I'm going to be one of the guides for Guided by Glow as well, which is very exciting for me. And I will be contributing on a monthly basis to their ritual section. So the Guided by Glow is an app that has all of these different guided meditations for masturbation or slow pleasure to really help you drop into your body, play around with some fantasy, and it's really about bringing all of your senses online, which is something we dig into a bunch in that interview. So I won't go on and on too much, but I will be expanding for their ritual section, which is very exciting. And we're going to have a giveaway coming up as well. So stay tuned for all of that. And now we can dig into the fun stuff and just having a really open conversation about masturbation and slow pleasure and sacred sexuality. So beginning with masturbation, which is what I consider to be more of that quick release. It's very goal orientated about achieving that orgasm, getting that stress release. There's like a sense of urgency to it. It can be very like go, go, go. I'm getting like masculine energy vibes just as I'm talking about it. There can be a lot of disconnection. It's not necessarily about listening to your body and tuning into your body. It's about giving yourself what you're wanting in that moment, which is that release, that orgasm. Along with that disconnection, there can be a lot of fantasy. So some people can really find a struggle with this when it comes to transferring their sexual experiences into partnered experiences when they rely heavily on fantasy for masturbation. And so this could look like porn is a huge issue. That's like a whole other topic, conversation for an episode. I'm not going to get into it right now. As well as just fantasizing within your head, imagining certain people or certain scenarios. And although, again, time and a place for things, it can, when used repeatedly or as something to rely upon, create that disconnection with yourself, with your full senses of what's going on. And again, how that transfers into partnered experiences with really being able to tune in with each other and be very present and energetically connected with each other. And as mentioned, it can be that stress relief. And it can also have a lot of feelings of shame or embarrassment tied to it as well. That feeling of needing to hide things, being scared of getting caught, which can also be a kink and bring excitement into it as well. But these are all things that I relate to masturbation. So if I am speaking about these different things, that's what I associate masturbation with. Now, moving along that spectrum to slow pleasure, it is very much a slowed down experience. It is all about bringing your presence into the experience. So being able to focus, being able to open yourself up to the full senses of what is going on, being able to feel, hear, taste, touch, and smell, really bringing these senses in, allowing your body, your senses to be fully turned on by everything that is available for you. You are able to focus. It's really bringing mindfulness into things. And this is what really creates a huge ripple effect in your life, is this presence, is this mindfulness. Because once you begin to be able to do it with yourself, with slow pleasure, there's a few different ways in bringing it into partnered experiences. You're really able to get out of your head and into your body and have that more connected, more expansive experience. Likewise, what I think is just one of the most beautiful gifts this work has is you're able to bring this presence, bring this mindfulness into your different interactions. So with your kids, with your husband or your partner, being able to be so present in the moment, being able to touch on all these different things with your senses and just be so in it, so present in it, so connected and joyful, and being able to slow down amongst that busyness of life and just be right there with them is so beautiful. I go on about that a lot, so I will leave it at that, but it's just one of the beautiful benefits of slow pleasure. And so slow pleasure is also very journey orientated. We're there for whatever happens, orgasm or not. It's not about the destination. It's about the experience and the journey and just being able to explore, build that relationship with your body and see what comes up. And so it's through this pathway that, like I just mentioned, you're really building a relationship with your body. you are tuning in to your no's and your yeses, which for many women have been overrode for decades in different ways. And so when you are with yourself doing this work, you're able to really tap into those subtle cues that your body has for what is a no for you, what is a yes for you, knowing that those are going to change moment to moment, day by day, and being able to really tap in to those different cues, those different signals, and you'll be able to notice them more and more. This has its own cascading effect. And as you bring this work, this experience, that relationship with yourself into partnered experiences, you begin to be better able to use your voice, to be able to speak for your wants and your needs, to be able to speak for your no's, what you might want to stop or not have. And the more you do this, it really builds confidence. It builds better, more enjoyable partnered experiences, a stronger connection with each other, being able to open up vulnerable, speak in these ways and have it received. And then this, again, it cascades and you begin to be better at setting boundaries. You're able to tap into those cues of your body, understand when, oh, this is a reaction when I'm being asked for something or when someone's speaking to me. Oh, I know this now. I can use my voice now. And then there's sacred sexuality, where you really begin to work with your energy body and your sexual energy. And this is where you can begin to truly nourish yourself from the inside out. So a lot of the practices I do with others and do myself are rooted in Tantra and Taoism. And so that's where it's really using your sexual energy, your life force energy, being able to move it through your body, being able to send it throughout your body and your limbs to nourish your bones, your blood, and your cells. And so this is something I walk through in my Nourish Through Pleasure program. So right now you can get that program for $71 Canadian for lifetime access. And it includes 6 meditations, breathwork, and pleasure practices, as well as, I believe it's around 4.5 hours of content, really educating you in all of this. And the great, amazing thing, if you hop in right now, I am revamping the program. I'm giving it a major facelift, and it is going to be a live group container later in spring. And so if you get in now, you get to move through this, get to learn how to use your sexual energy, be able to really open up your mind to what is possible. You have those 6 meditations and practices to play with, and you can go even deeper with us in a live container later in spring. So definitely recommend checking that out. But continuing on the conversation around that sacred sexuality is when you add this focus of the energy, as well as the other holistic sex tools that I use, like sound, movement, focus, surrender, when you move all of these things together or pick and choose a few and add on to them, that's where you really begin to have these very expansive orgasms. So a lot of women, if they are able to achieve orgasm, which again, there's this whole range in the orgasm conversation as well, which I'll expand a little bit. We all know of the orgasm gap, and so that's where men achieve orgasm much more frequently than women in those partnered experiences. Many women, it's also super common to be able to experience orgasms with themselves, but not with partners. That's something I help women with. There's a whole psychology around it and somatic work around that. And often those orgasms, what I would assume is the most common orgasms that women experience, tend to be those short bursts. It's very like quick and over. You experience it, it can be great in the moment, and then poof, it's gone, it's out, right? And so when we're able to really work with our energy, bringing in sound and movement and focus and all of these different things, these orgasms get expansive. They turn into waves of pleasure, rolling pleasure that build one on top of each other, flowing through your body. And so that's what you get to play in as you move through from masturbation into slow pleasure, into sacred sexuality. And that is something that is available and accessible to every woman. I don't specialize in men's. I won't speak to that. Things are different. There's a whole semen retention conversation. But it is available to women. And sometimes it takes a lot of work to be able to get there. If you're pre-orgasmic and haven't really felt that yet, it's going to take some time, but really being able to work on your somatics, what's going on with your body, your responses to different things, all of those learned behaviors and beliefs that we've brought on throughout our life. As we begin to unpack those and work through those and bring in different holistic sex tools, we can experience more orgasms, more expansive orgasms that really cascade through our bodies and bring that nourishment from the inside out. Like I touched on in the confidence podcast episode, we're releasing so many happy hormone chemicals with orgasms, with pleasure, and that just truly feeds and nourishes our body from the inside out. And then there's the whole mental health aspect of it and things I've touched on in this episode. Then, kind of circling back to our main topic, with that sacred sexuality, there's sexual energy transmutation, which is something I love to play around with, love to talk about. And that's using your sexual energy and being able to transmute it into other things. So you can really work that sexual energy up within yourself and pour it into your creative projects, your business projects. I've personally done this into like launch different emails and sales pages and things like that. I've heard of artists. There's also Bob Proctor and different self-development gurus that will talk about it as well, being able to use that sexual energy and channeling it into something else. And then there's also the sex magic side of it, which I think is so much fun. I've talked about it a lot. It's one of my favorite things to do. I've personally manifested tattoos, like won through giveaways, sales coming in, my relationship being in a certain stage, a house that came too quick and we had to pump the brakes on it. But all of these things popped up out of nowhere very quickly after sex magic practices. And so I am going to be doing a masterclass series on this soon. It is a topic I keep getting asked about more and more. Witch of Wall Street was very interested in it on the podcast we did together. I recently recorded one with Kyla Gagnon. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but she's a breathwork facilitator, so awesome. She was super into it on her podcast and also just in different conversations. And it's a potent tool, being able to use your sexual energy, your creative life force energy, and using that as a beacon to really call in that which you desire, and being able to really bring in the embodiment of who has this manifestation, bringing it into the 3D world and being able to align yourself with that. So I do that in the sex magic ritual that is available in the Unapologetic Practices. So if you want a taster, it's there. It is also within the Nourish Through Pleasure program, which is like the best bang for your buck. And just stay tuned because I am going to do a whole series around it. It's super fun. It's really interesting. But our sexual energy is available for all of us. We know it. We've experienced what it feels like to tap into our sexual energy. And there's a way we can work with this. Like that's where we can really come into our power, being very intentional about how we use this energy. And then in partner situations as well, that's where you can really connect on that deep energetic level. It's sexual energy exchange. That's where more of the tantric side can be brought in, and being able to build and move your energy together is such a beautiful and expansive thing that you can do. And it's just incredible. It's bringing in those waves of pleasure as you feel the energy flowing around you. And then there is the spiritual side of sacred sexuality, where you can really worship God, Goddess, Source, Creator in the bedroom. It's how you can personally touch the divine. One of my teachers, Layla Martin, I forget her exact phrasing, but it's, you can experience God through your butthole. Like, every part of your body is a portal to Source. Our wombs are a literal portal between worlds, bringing life into this world. And it's through using our body and our sexual energy that comes from our womb area, our sacral energy centers, our chakras, we can touch and experience other worlds through this sexual energy, through these different experiences. And it's through sacred sexuality that I've personally found my spirituality. I was very non-religious. That's how I grew up. I've always believed in energy and a connection among all things, but that was about it. And it is through sacred sexuality, through this program, that I have become more and more of a spiritual person, because of what I have been able to experience, see, touch, feel. And that is because of sacred sexuality. Now that I have kind of opened your perception to that full spectrum of that masturbation, slow pleasure, and sacred sexuality, I wanted to leave you a few tips to be able to play along the spectrum yourself. And so those main tips we're going to go through is slow down, wait until your body is a full fuck yes, and moving your energy around. So tapping into that slowing down, that's where I really encourage you to take in your senses, to bring your presence into the present moment. So for those that get really caught up in their heads, refocusing on constantly on what sensations do I feel? Where is the sensation located? What does it feel like? And just continuing to use that as a refocusing point can be really helpful. And I will say numbness and lack of sensation is also a sensation. So that is something that definitely comes up with a lot of people, and being able to accept any numbness or lack of sensation and being able to sit with that and be with it can begin to open up other sensations as well, being like, hey, why is there block? Why is there a block? What's underneath it? So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. But really bringing your presence into the moment, being able to bring all of your senses online, is going to really help you in building that relationship with your body, building your muscle for presence and mindfulness. And both of those things, as I touched on, have a huge ripple effect in your life. If you are someone that really appreciates guidance, I know I do. I find I can just drop in and have the most magical experiences when I'm guided through it, through practices, compared to just kind of stumbling through on my own. I have my Unapologetic Practices collection, which is available, that has things on the more meditative side, all the way up to the touching, doing whatever you want, pleasure side. And Guided by Glow is a fantastic option for a full range of pleasure meditations with different erotic fantasies, as if it's erotica books in a way, but you listen to it. So that can be really fun. And again, I will be one of the guides for the ritual section on a monthly basis coming up soon. Now, the other tip, waiting until your body is a full fuck yes for penetration before penetrating. So we don't listen, as women in general, we don't listen to our pussies. We override her feelings, and with penetration too soon, and often that comes with dissatisfying sexual experiences. I am sure everyone has probably experienced where the partners are just like wanting to hop to it, or you know what, let's backtrack. I think, yes, everyone's experienced, and I think it's actually the norm in the way media portrays it, which makes it feel like it's the norm for us regular folk, is sex is PNV action, penis and vagina action. And so foreplay, whatever that may look like, can often be brief. And then it's penis and vagina sex. And it maybe is or isn't that enjoyable of an experience. And a huge part of that is not listening to your pussy's wisdom and not using your voice. So generally, women take a longer time to be warmed up. We need to go from the outside edges in and be able to really take our time with that foreplay, with that connection. I will often say foreplay starts with coffee in the morning. This isn't just sexual foreplay. It's all of those different connection points throughout the day, as well as the more physical foreplay. And we take time to truly warm up. And with that comes that engorgement, that juiciness of the genitals as well. And what's so interesting is when we take this time to really truly warm up, our pussies will actually suck up what is laying at our gates, wanting that penetration. This is something I was introduced through jade egg practices. And it kind of blew my mind that this was the case because I had no idea. And when she is really ready and waiting and wanting, she will suck up whatever it is that's there because she wants it. And when you slow down, when you wait for really wanting that penetration, the pleasure you are going to experience is so much more expansive, so much more sensations flowing both in the area and through your body, and it's a more connected, pleasurable experience for our partners as well. So I really encourage you to slow down, work from the outside edges in, and do not penetrate unless she is a full fuck yes. And this could be, it doesn't have to be a jade egg. This can be a pleasure wand, your hand, a penis, whatever it may be. And the important part of this is to truly listen to her wisdom. Do not override it. Whether it's slow down, take some more time, and then she wants it, or maybe it's a no in that moment. And that is okay too. And being able to acknowledge that no and move through that in whatever way feels good, whether that's stopping the situation altogether or playing around and doing some other things, because sex is so much more than P and V sex. It really can be this whole thing, using our bodies and our connection and our energy in different ways. And when you really respect your pussy's no and respect when she is yes and waiting, we're really building that relationship, building that trust with ourselves. And she will be able to open up and allow you to experience so many more things when we listen, trust, and respect her. And I have heard stories of how things like reoccurring yeast infections or vaginismus have just slowly gone away and cleared up through doing work like this and through really putting this into practice, working with a jade egg, working with a trusted coach. And yes, there is a medical side to this, and I'm not a medical professional. This is not medical advice, but I just want you to know what is out there, what is available, what other people are experiencing that doing through this work. You may experience overcoming certain challenges that really felt like they stood in the way, because often these different challenges can have a somatic side to them as well. And so to just, if this is something you're experiencing, perhaps opening up that conversation with your team, with a coach, with a medical professional, and working through that, seeing what's available to you, because there are other options out there. And then my next tip is for those really wanting to play with the sacred sexuality side of things, is to really tap into the energy that's available in your body. Begin to run it through your chakras or your microcosmic orbit. So I will kind of briefly explain without getting too deep into things, but being able to pump up your sexual energy, whether that's through dancing or moving your hips or giving some Kegel pumps, being able to build it in that lower chakras with your root and your sacral chakra, and then being able to pull it up through them, up through your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, your crown, being able to pull it up and bring it back down, being able to move this energy. And the microcosmic orbit is up your back to your crown and down the front, or vice versa. There's more a yin energy or a yang energy to it. Perhaps this is something for another podcast episode, but being able to work with sensing your energy and moving it through your body is what will really begin to open things up for you as you bring your energy body into alignment. And I will say, this feels super weird at first. At first, you may not be able to feel much and being able to feel your energy centers. But as you begin to work with these things, being able to focus on these chakras or energy centers, you begin to feel them more and more. You begin to sense them. You begin to be able to open up, come into balance, be able to move this energy in different ways. And this connection just really builds with time. And so this is something I love helping clients with. I am going to be adding to the Unapologetic Practices collection, as well as doing a series of meditations and guided practices that build off of each other for the Sex Magic Masterclass series, where it's really beginner to more advanced working through these things. But for now, there's the Sex Magic ritual there. If you're wanting to kind of play around with it, that's available. And also just stay tuned for the Guided by Glow collaboration too. There will be a Sex Magic ritual added in there soon. And so I think that brings us to a close for this week's episode. I'm here for any questions. I am happy to answer. So feel free to send me a DM on Instagram at janine.mckinnon, or shoot me an email, janine@unapologeticmotherhood.com. I'd love to chat. I'd love to get back to you. And just, again, saying stay tuned. Got lots of fun things coming up. The Guided by Glow partnership, our podcast together, will be released in just a couple days. Sex Magic Masterclass series is coming up to really dive deep, give you the full information on sexual energy transmutation, along with a bunch of different guided meditations and practices to support you in that. And Nourish Through Pleasure. So that will be expanding after the Sex Magic Masterclass series. And now is the best time to get in. You can buy in for $71 Canadian for lifetime access. That will give you access to the Sex Magic ritual I already have up, as well as 5 other meditations and breathwork and pleasure practices, including a 5 senses pleasure practice that is just so juicy that I love so much. And it will be revamped. It will go to a group live container over 6 weeks, as well as continuing on without that live portion. It's going to be valued at $450. So being able to get in now at $71 is just a steal of a deal. So if I piqued your interest in any way, I highly recommend going that route. And I think that covers everything for now. I'm just wishing you a lovely, pleasure-filled week. And as always, I am here for any questions or comments or anything like that. Talk to you later. Thank you for joining us inside the Unapologetic with Janine McKinnon podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you feel called, I would so appreciate it if you shared about this episode in your stories or left us a review to help us reach more women on their unapologetic journey. As a thank you for your support, you'll be entered into a monthly draw for a free coaching session. Just tag at Janine.McKinnon in your story shares or leave the rating or review, screenshot it, and email to Janine@unapologeticmotherhood.com to be entered. One lucky winner is selected every month for a focused coaching session to support you in working towards your current desires. Until next time, trust your inner wisdom and create some magic.